Okay, let's start the show then. I hope you guys are ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. I hope everyone else is as well. It's so exciting to do this. This is our first AMA as KOY Jumuiya DAO. I'm really excited. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say and ask us. So, Neil, introduce yourself. Who are you?
Sure. First of all, I want to start with, thanks guys for joining us. Just to mention, we will have like 1 hour today, and if we have time at the end, you can ask your questions, right? First of all, I would like to ask you is to like and repost these spaces so X algorithm will show us more, I think it will be good for everyone. And if you can follow KOY Network and KOY Jumuiya, on social media, that would be awesome. I will also pin the KOY Jumuiya DAO Telegram channel for you. It's actually at the top of this Twitter Spaces, and I will also pin more posts for you over there. And if you swipe left or swipe right, you can see them at the top over there, right? So that's very, very easy, and it will be nice that, you can have it there, and it's like a nice option for you. Okay, so I'm gonna start with myself. Thank you, Betty. So I'm Neo. I'm a part of the KOY Jumuiya DAO team, and I'm involved here with content creation, especially videos, podcast, and as you can see right now, X Spaces as well. And I think that this is like a quickly introduce of myself. And what about you, Betty? Tell us a few words about you.
Well, thank you, Neo, and thank you for letting us know where people can find more information about KOY Jumuiya and the KOY Network. Guys, please follow those two accounts. My name is Betty Wederero, and I am leading the KOY Jumuiya DAO. So what does that mean? Well, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. And what we do is we are a home for all the enthusiasts, investors, developers, and basically anybody who's curious about KOY Network and would like to learn more, learn how you can contribute to the community and build with us. And I basically lead this DAO with the intent to get us to a point where we are a legal entity, we have our own voting mechanisms, and we have our own processes. And so, a little bit of independence and autonomy. Our goal is to do this globally.
Awesome. Thank you, Betty. A very nice introduction. So again, welcome to the first ever KOY Jumuiya DAO AMA with Warren Whitlock. Warren will join us pretty soon. I'll just say Warren is a strategic advisor with the KOY Network. And as Betty said, she's a leader with the KOY Jumuiya DAO. That's just, can you just tell us, Betty, just a quick overview of what KOY Network is. And for those who are new as well here, let's give a really TLDR on the project and the problems it's solving. Thank you.
Okay, that is a very good and comprehensive question. So let's start with KOY Network. So KOY Network is a corporate, and we are registered in the UK and Wales. And we are a permissioned private blockchain. And what does that mean? It means basically customer data, transactions, and so on. Our block explorer will have permissioned access. In other words, not everyone can see your transactions, right? They can't tell who you're sending to, and so on. And that's one of the first things, yeah. So in that way, we are we are centralized in that regard, in the sense that, we're permissioned and we're private. The other way that we are more or less centralized is in terms of how we are doing our node validation. We have our infrastructure being provided by our very capable team technical team at Whitlock, and we have our own internal systems and our internal infrastructure. And so that is an overview of how does KOY network operate, and how is it, what kind of status is it as a blockchain. The next thing about KOY network is that KOY is a network of businesses. And so we have collaboration and partnerships with businesses in various African countries, and that's why we are also a network. So one of the businesses in Kenya is called .send, and .send provides certain regulatory frameworks and certifications, licensing that they have acquired in Kenya through their own, registration, and by meeting certain conditions with the Central Bank of Kenya, and so they provide that, they allow KOY network to inherit those regulations, those licensing, and so on. All right. And then so we have similar, agreements and partnerships with other companies across the continent. And that's what makes us a network. And again, the last thing I would say is KOY network is a network also of community businesses. So businesses that are actually building on top of KOY. These are the decentralized applications and businesses that are going to be using the KOY infrastructure to basically conduct their online business, and specifically fintech and database management areas. Okay, and so I'm also a startup entrepreneur, and my startup is called Green Trace, and Green Trace is going to be one of the decentralized applications that will be operating using the KOY infrastructure and in partnership with .send in Kenya. And what Green Trace focuses on, we have a coral restoration project in Kenya that we are setting up. And then also, of course, we also do plastic and electronic waste tracking. We found a way to just keep track of this waste, and this is our approach to climate action and environmental impact. So circling back to KOY Jumuiya. So, I mentioned earlier how these businesses find community in the KOY Jumuiya DAO. And one of the aspects of a DAO, of course, you have to have governance. We also focus on environmental impact, social impact. There's a governance, there's a financial technology aspect of it where, you are encouraging knowledge, you're encouraging growth for the businesses, and so on. And one of the things that we will talk about today when Warren joins us is the unusual businesses that you will be able to find on KOY network, just given because of the nature of where KOY is focused. And KOY is focused mainly in providing this infrastructure to African businesses, to African community members, and so on. So any other question, Neil?
At this moment, I think that you basically totally explain this as it should be explained, if that makes sense, right? Very, very enjoyable. Thank you very much for that. Also, I will just say to you guys, if you would like to ask your own questions, just leave them in comments of this X Spaces. We will also appreciate if you will share this spaces as well. If you don't know how to do that, I will explain this. At the bottom of the spaces, you got this icon there that it's like 3 dots connected together. It's like the share icon. And then if you just click on share via post, right? It will arrive there, you just click post and that's it. We will really, really appreciate if you can help us with spreading this X spaces. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you want to left a comment, the next to this icon, there is another one. If you click over there, you can left your questions. Gigi just left, love the vibe in here. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that you guys having fun. There's actually, I'm just scrolling the attendance and it's actually very nice. Thank you very much for being here with us. So because we've got questions here, like, you know, you always kind of prepare for the show. And we're still waiting for Warren. So I think that maybe I can use some of these questions that I got prepared here. So Betty can actually just answer to one of it as well. I think that I got some comment here again. Oh, Crypto City, thank you very much. Will Green Trace have an app? That's the question.
Okay, that's a good question. So Green Trace is going to be a decentralized application that utilizes KOY's fintech infrastructure to bring a solution to an environmental crisis. All right. So for those of you who don't know, there's such a thing as a coral bleaching effect. And what does that mean? So, you know, off the coast of your country, well, if you're not landlocked, if you're not landlocked, but off the coast of East Africa, you'll find a coral reef, and it's a barrier that prevents excessive, large waves from coming all the way inland. All right, and that coral barrier, that coral reef, is also home to, a large variety of fishes. It is actually the source of income and livelihood for the fishermen along the coast, and it's also, of course, vibrant and filled with life and color. And what happens is, when there's a bleaching effect, the water temperature of the waters where these corals are growing and living rise to such an extent that the corals themselves start dying. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, corals are animals. They expire. They breathe, so to speak. So expire, respire, and at the same time they appear to seem to be almost like stone. But when they go through this bleaching effect, they actually turn white and die off. And then after a few weeks, you'll see some algae growing, and now they're completely dead. Okay. And this has been happening successively over the past few years. The first major coral bleaching effect that happened globally was noted in 2016. And for months now in 2023, we've had scientists around the world tell us that there is an incoming global bleaching event happening because of raised temperatures in the ocean. And so this particular bleaching event is going to hit the Kenyan coastline from February 2024 to around April 2024. And unfortunately, there's little we can do to mitigate that on this end of that event. We can't drop the ocean temperatures, and we won't be able to prevent that bleaching event from happening. And so what Green Trace intends to do is to respond and restore the corals after the event. And we are applying quite a number of scientific approaches to doing this. One of them involves replanting spores, using technology to attach them better, to use substrate. We have quite a number of approaches that we intend to deploy. But in the meantime, we know that we can't prevent this event from happening. And so how Green Trace's decentralized application works is that we are applying the fintech infrastructure and also the space provided in terms of data storage and also data monitoring, that verification process. We're calling it the Internet of Trusted Things. And we are going to deploy that as a decentralized application to attach data from sensors in the water that will sink in the water, that monitor the water temperature, the water pH, and also monitor the corals themselves, even as we replant and restore. And we believe that data will be able to help us understand this particular event better. It will be able to help us identify future spots where the corals will be sick or will be affected by a bleaching event. And it will also help us be able to respond adequately, by noting what diseases would arise for the corals and making sure that they are resilient. And that fintech aspect also allows us to engage the local communities. And so we are going to create a circular economy where we engage the local communities to assist us in replanting mangroves, replanting and restoring the corals, and also helping us plant seagrass. And all of that is the green economy that is going to be coming to the KOY network in about 2 or 3 months. All right, Neo, any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you very much for this long but very good answer. There's a lot of information there. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Right. I think that we can actually use this question that I got over here right now until Warren will join us. So Betty, tell us, how can people get involved in KOY Jumuiya DAO, either as an investor, developer, or end user?
Okay, great. This is a good question too. Getting involved, well, of course, we have our group link, and I think that Neo has given that link in one of the tweets that he has sent out. And so, you start by joining our Telegram group, get to know people. A lot of our members are from other ecosystems. We are creating one ourselves, at KOY Network, but a lot of our members come from across the Antelope ecosystem. And for those who don't know, Antelope is a protocol that KOY Network is deploying, and Antelope is a protocol that is used by a number of other blockchains, and that includes Telos blockchain. It also includes Wax, UX, and EOS. And so these are huge communities out there that also share that protocol with us. In the few months that are coming, we do intend to join the Antelope Alliance. But in the meantime, if you want to get involved, please join our Telegram group, get with the vibe inside there, ask your questions. You will have direct access to team members from the KOY Network Corporate, and also members of the KOY Jumuiya DAO. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we do have a process right now where we are looking for people who are willing to, donate their time and be part of the DAO journey. And so we are looking for people who are willing to join us and be part of our startup committee at the KOY Jumuiya DAO as an advisor, as a committee member. It doesn't matter. Wherever your interest peaks, if you want to be part of this journey, please shoot us an email. You'll get the link in one of the tweets that Neo will pin for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just actually pin it at the top of it. You can swipe left, swipe right, and you will see the pinned post over there. I'm just checking the comments as well, but so far there is there was just like just the two of them. So this part we got out. But if you guys want to ask questions, yeah, do it. This is the best time to do that, actually, because when Warren will join us, we will continue with with another questions that we have prepared over here. So yeah, this is the best moment to ask questions to Betty, and she will answer to you. But if there is no more questions, then I'm gonna use one that I have over here. Let me check. Okay. So I'm gonna use this question actually. So Betty, tell us, what are the kinds of businesses that you see being hosted on KOY network and working in partnership with KOY? How do you see the KOY Jumuiya DAO playing a role in supporting these businesses online?
Well, that's a very good question. And of course, we are going to have the same, sort of question come up again when Warren comes around. But just to give you an idea of how I visualize it, we have so many gaps in Africa that KOY Network's infrastructure definitely meets. So I'll give you an example of a business. Well, it's not really a business, a charity. So if you're dealing with charities, right, one of the challenges you have, let's say your charity provides a universal basic income model. All right. And I think that you've heard of these kinds of charities that give out a basic income, to see what differences they'll make in a village economy. So let's assume your charity wants to do that, but but also track how that money is spent, because if you just send the money, they can spend it anyhow they want. Okay. And so you want to be sure that that money is spent specifically for grains, cereals, oil, cooking oil, and so on. And so you'll go to the vendor, the merchant, okay, and you will tell them, listen, I'm going to do vouchers for your goods. And when any person with one of my vouchers comes to your shop, just sell them the goods and you will get paid. Okay. And the vendor is like, what? Okay. I don't want it in funny money. I don't want I don't want it in crypto. I want it in Kenya shillings. Okay. So if they come here and they want to buy something, your voucher better give me in Kenya shillings. And you're like, okay, I can do that. So the KOY network approach is to allow the charity set aside that fund and also generate vouchers and send those vouchers to individual wallets. And when that voucher is redeemed at the merchant's till, the merchant receives it in the local currency of choice. Sorry, 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, not a problem. Maybe this might be something important. So let me just improvise here. I'm just checking your comments as well. Also, actually, for those of you who will join us, will listen to this X Spaces replay, right? All of the posts that I pin, I'm also sharing that in comments as well. So you will be able to see them as well if you will be interested about getting more information. right, about KOY network. I will also repeat again that if you guys would like to follow KOY network and KOY Jumuiya on social media, that would be awesome. We will really appreciate any follow, any like, any share, anything basically. You know, we are a startup and we just trying our best to be more visible online, and that more we will get more reach, basically, like, you know, more impressions, more reach, because, you know, in these days it's not that easy for startups to, like, you have to spend probably a lot of funds to, you know, to be visible, and we are trying to do some stuff like organically as well. Because we are just like starting. That's how startup actually is, you know, as far as I'm oriented, you know. So basically, I'm gonna check more questions here. If there is any more questions around here. Okay, Gigi's got a more question. This one I would left for later as well. We're still waiting for Warren to join us. I hope that he will join us, you know, and we will we can continue here with the show for you, because that was the main thing. But, you know, there was sometimes the technical issues or the timing issues can arrive. So that's what it is. I don't know if Betty is back. Betty, are you there or not? Let's
I'm back. I'm here.
Check that out. All right. Okay. Do you want to continue, please?
Yeah, I'm just got a shout out from Warren. I think you should be here in 2 seconds.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so if you can, if you remember, actually, where did you stop with the last question?
About the vouchers.
Okay.
I was talking about the vouchers.
Okay, so, Warren is here. I'm gonna give him a speaker thing, and you can continue with answering the last question, please. Thank you.
Yes, so I was talking about the voucher system and how it would work. And so because of the way we have designed KOY, we should be able to allow people to receive funds in the local currency. And that's a very key element, which matters a lot, because it reduces the friction. It reduces barriers to entry to blockchain for people who have no background in the technology or knowledge, and I think that's very critical for KOY. I'm so glad to see you here, Warren, and welcome.
Yeah, I just sent you a speaker invitation. I'm gonna click it again. Or just send it to me and I will accept it, because this have to be done so you can speak. So please send it to me or just accept my invitation if you are there, please. And in the meantime, yeah, Betty, you want to add something so far? Ah, there it is. I think there it is. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, good. I've had problems in the past getting on them on a computer, and I couldn't find the spaces on the phone. So I'm supposedly a Twitter expert and wrote the first book about Twitter. I don't know whether
amazing. Welcome.
I changed the name of my book from Twitter Revolution to X Revolution, and it doesn't sound right. Anyway, but that's my background, but still always have the technology problems, and thanks to time zone differences, they planned this to start right in the middle of my major presentation someplace else. But that's over. I'm here, and I stay as long as you need me.
We appreciate your presence here. Thank you very much for joining us, Warren. And I think that we will just continue with the show, right? So let's get into it. First of all, Warren, welcome to KOY Network. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, please? Thank you.
Sure. I'm best known for writing the first book about Twitter, that old name, and social media back in the aughts. At that time, I had been a online community person for many years. I first got online in 1981. And first started doing interaction on CompuServe and bulletin board services back then, and so much more difficult, harder to do, and all through modems. And so when the internet came along, I was in a related industry, entrepreneur, servicing of hardware, and so that concluded about 20 years ago. And when I got into just doing nothing but online, so I am the ultimate remote worker. Wherever I go, I'm working on that. And then, more important to this community, I wrote a book called Billions Rising about how the global poverty was disappearing as people with self-reliance took care of things. The number one thing I learned, I knew this before, but I really hit home there, was that the solutions are locally generated, and what I can do is help and support. I'm an expert, and I'm not feet on the ground. I'm an expert that can help, but I can't tell you what to do. I can help you know what to do to make the right decisions when you're trying to grow. I think that the KOY Network is going to be like, the great catalyst of exponentially growing it all throughout Africa. And then I think that affects the whole globe. So I'm excited to be a part of this project.
Amazing. Thank you very much for all that information from you. I think I can identify here a bit. I was using internet since 1995. So very early too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got another question to you. You have been you kind of talk about it already, so let's just extend it a bit. You have been an expert on building online business using social media for decades. How would you assess the potential for businesses like KOY to leverage themselves online, as well as for the organizations working in the KOY Network ecosystem?
Well, I'd say if I was advising a business like I've owned before, and it was located anywhere in Africa, I know that my business, for instance, I'm in the United States, and in the 90s, my business started doing business online. At first, we were able to put up a website and get some phone calls, and people reluctant to even give us their credit card information by phone. And as that grew and we were able to do more of that, we never really got into e-commerce. But we were able to do more and more business for the places we could go. And we learned that we had limitations. There are 50 states in the United States. Alaska and Hawaii are separated from the rest of the continent. We weren't able to do business there. If I'd have found a courier to be able to go to those locations, I would have been able to ship a lot better. Fast forward to today, what we're looking at is you guys to be able to ship between countries and transfer money between countries have so many obstacles that are there that we can just leapfrog everything that the rest of the world's been through and connect everybody up to what you'll recall as being called the information superhighway back in the 90s. It is infrastructure that is going to allow things to go instantly. And the thought of, instead of having to pay 10% on a money transaction, or the paperwork, or the having to go outside the continent and then back for money transfers, is one that Richard has talked about. I just look at those things and I say, I can remember when I had to do handwritten forms to be able to ship something. And when we got it on computer, how that streamlined what we did. Our shipping went from being hours a day to minutes a day. And I've seen that transaction happen again and again. It's the same thing that happened when we got mobile. And it's what we talked about in the Twitter Revolution book, which interestingly is still relevant today other than the name, because what we were talking about is the future was going to be mobile, and it was going to be connections to the people you want to be connected to. So it's now when I wrote Billions Rising and I was talking about this kind of stuff, we were always thinking in terms of how can the U.S. do business with Kenya, for instance, and we were thinking in terms of that. I had never really got a picture of how Kenya doing business with Uganda is much more important than whether or not you could do business with the U.S. We may have more money over here, but it's much easier to trade and transact, especially for a local business. And so I would say anybody should be getting hooked up to the network just to be able to take crypto in general. We've seen in El Salvador, they were using U.S. dollars, their currency. They gave up on having any currency of their own and accepted the dollar and Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador. It's not without its problems. Bitcoin is volatile, et cetera, et cetera. All that's fixed with the coin token is that you won't ever actually have to do a transaction in coin. So it's just, I think the greatest thing of technology is where it reduces friction. It's not, oh, wow, we've got a new technology. That's not what's important. What's important is, can I do business faster, cheaper, and with more people? And all of those apply to what this project is. Again, that's why I get so excited about it.
Absolutely. Technology should help us in a day-to-day activities, right?
Right. And
it should be useful.
Look for where it reduces friction. I mean, I've done this even with paper. I'll give you an example. I did warranty work for a major manufacturer, and we had people walking in across the transom, bringing their broken printer, and we would fix them. And it was pop, do this. It takes 10 minutes, but we couldn't do them while they waited. We had to get our crew together and the parts and whatnot like that. And we were having a real bottleneck because all of these machines looked exactly alike. We put in a little bit of paperwork and a spreadsheet. And we reduced the looking for a machine time. It was embarrassing when somebody walks in and says, I would like to have my machine. And I look at 20 of them and I can't tell the difference. So we started putting a label on the machine and, using the serial numbers in the database. And we invented a little system to do that. I've always thought of that as how by reducing the friction, people started spending money. As our person taking the input and filling out the form could then say, do you want to get ink for your printer? And then most of them would say, well, yes, if it needs it, I'll pay for the ink. We didn't have to get pre-approval for that, which was phone calls back and forth and hassle. Ever since that, I've always looked at all business problems as where can to get more efficient. Optimization is all about reducing the friction. And so start applying everything you can to where where KOY is going to be able to reduce your friction. And you'll find many more than I will because I don't know any particular business, but that's how I would be advising a small business today.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, I personally been born in 80s, so I kind of remember world without internet, dot matrix printers, and everything on paper as well. So I definitely can identify here and understand what you're talking about in that case. Okay, I would like you to answer another question here that I got for you. What are the kinds of businesses that you see being hosted on KOY network and working in partnership with KOY? How do you see the KOY Jumuiya DAO playing a role in supporting these businesses online?
I think it's just a matter of, again, you've got to focus on where you can reduce friction. So it's everywhere. When I teach people in conferences and seminars and even in online Twitter conversations, I always think of what the very simple business model is. And for me, that's a dry cleaner. A laundry would be the same thing, whatever you have where you are. And that somebody brings the clothing in, wants it handled. And it was just like our printer example. They want something done, and it's very simple. And it's always been okay, because when you start out, you can do business and just, somebody comes in, you say, I'll take care of that. And when you get done, they hand you the money and you hand them the product, and it's done. If you want to grow, you need to be able to scale so that somebody who has never done it before can do it. So think in terms of what is an everyday transaction that is hindered. I saw the example the other day of somebody going to a grocery store and not being able to check out with the kind of mobile payment that they had. And so if I was the guy running the grocery store, I'd be looking for not only how I can put put KOY as an accepted coin or whatever the local currency is, the e-shilling or whatever, but not only being able to accept it, but to be able to look at how that cuts down on the overhead, on the friction of what else you do. Because now I believe you should be able to send a message to somebody. So building a list of everybody that has bought something from you becomes very easy. And maybe in other things like an email or social accounts, it becomes who you can blast to and send your specials to. But on a financial network, maybe keep that to just be able to announce simple things like, we haven't. One of the things is how long it's been since somebody has been there to use your services. So if somebody gets a haircut from the barber and they go every X number of days to have the hair trimmed, and a woman has long hair and decides she's not going to go every 10 days, she's going to go every 10 weeks, something like that. There's a pattern to whatever that is. And worked with one hairstylist, single person, who then was able to started keeping track of that based on length of hair. A woman with short hair has her hair cut different than a woman with long hair, and then could tell. And if they didn't come in and the time they were supposed to come in, she sent them a postcard. And now with these networks of being able to build communities and know where the people are, you can automate all that. So it's been X number of days since you had your car serviced, and you can find out who your very best customers are and what happened to them. So I think building systems like that is immensely profitable to do. I don't know. It's hard for me to think about that when I get to think about just the mere fact that it's going to be able to work, and I'm going to be able to now sell to countries I wasn't able to sell to, and have contracts that aren't lost in the trying to communicate. I was just reading about Russia in 1930s, and they were getting ready to go to war, and the communications, they had a partnership with Japan, and from Moscow to Japan there's a long train, and they had to put a packet of top secret papers on there and hope that it didn't get stolen. And I was thinking, like, how could they ever do anything, and how could we ever today think that there was any reason to have violence or a war? Because communication solves all those kind of problems. And again, applying that back here, when you can communicate, it just drops so many of the problems. So communication is number one. And then, of course, some of the marketing stuff on top of that.
Absolutely, yes. The communication we've got in these days is definitely fast, and you have ability to do that in basically in seconds. And the same should be with transactions, right? It should be fast. It should be like you just click and it's there, right? Blink of an eye, the same as you're sending messages. That's because we live it's 2023, right? The world goes forward and technology goes forward. Absolutely.
Well,
thank you.
I'll tell you how it is. I started with Amazon when they were brand new, buying products. And if I could sit down at Amazon and spend a couple of hours, I knew that I'd get a better price and it was an easier experience than getting in the car, driving to the mall, and going to a bookstore. And I love books and buy lots of books. But I found that it was just so much more engaging to do that while I sat at home. Today, if I want to buy a book, if you mentioned a book in conversation without missing anything of the conversation. I just did this 2 days ago. I was in a meeting. They mentioned a book. It was a book I'd heard of long ago. And they were quoting the guy. And I said, I used to teach that. And I haven't heard of it in a decade. I need to find out about that. And I looked it up online. And got the correct way to the quotation. I'll do that in some future session we have together, but that's not the point. At that time, I go I wonder about his book. And I check out, and Amazon was able to tell me I hadn't bought it. I was able to order a copy. I was also able to get it onto my Kindle and find out that, that was a discount good program. And I did that all in less time than it took to tell you about it while still paying attention in the meeting. Because I just a couple of clicks here and there, and it keeps getting easier. Google says they would like to be able to supply you with a search result that send you right to the website you want. That would be their ultimate goal. You think about something, they have it for you. Amazon, Jeff Bezos has said he would like to be able to ship something to you when he anticipates that you need it. And then, with returns, being able to take the thing back. I know that's not available in a lot of the countries in Africa. But the thing that's going to be able to be the basis for that is going to be this network. Somebody will be able to build very fast e-commerce transactions. And I know you have some of the mobile stuff that works. Richard has told me about things that work in Kenya better than here for ordering somebody on a motorbike to bring something to you. But having the whole world at your fingertips is such an empowering feeling. And I'm grateful for it every day. And so, and I just know how that empowers my life, that I don't leave my house unless I'm leaving my house for something fun. So, and I know that, to provide that to 1 billion more people just excites me to no end.
Absolutely. I think the same. Yeah. If we are able to build communities, if we are able to have fast transactions and that kind of stuff, then definitely we are going forward, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much for your answer. I got another. Let me see. I think I got another 2 questions actually. So we will not keep you here for very long, because we know you are a busy person, and we just want to not keep you here for very long. So this question is for Betty and you as well. So I think I will allow Betty to answer for it first, and then you can add something to it. Building an ecosystem for blockchain businesses is at the heart of the KOY Jumuiya DAO, and in this regard, having governance and activities towards supporting our community businesses is critical. What kind of democracy do you see working best for the KOY Jumuiya DAO? Is it a weighted vote based on number of tokens held, or issuing a single governance token to each member. So I'm gonna ask to Betty to answer first, if you would like to.
Yeah, well, this is the million-dollar question on how does a decentralized autonomous organization govern itself. And you know the irony, actually, when I think about it, because Coin Network itself is more or less centralized in the sense of, and I mentioned this earlier, in terms of how the infrastructure is built and then how it works. It's a permissioned and private chain. So then being a decentralized organization that is part of the ecosystem of a centralized blockchain becomes very interesting, doesn't it? So we've seen, if we look at other public chains, we've seen how the voting system can be weighted. In other words, it depends on how many tokens you own. So usually the whales dominate the voting process. So whenever proposals come forward from the community and these proposals are touching on funding, spend, and activities, you'll find that the people with the most tokens will carry the day in terms of whether that proposal will be passed or not. And that's the kind of democracy that works in those chains. Is it fair? I have my feelings around it, because I feel that having whales dominate community votes really prevents the community from being able to execute proposals that are outside the whale's interest. But at the same time, you have to look at it this way: the whale has the most to lose. He is the one who has, is the one who has invested the most. So they have the most to lose when community funds or public funds are spent, and so their opinion should matter. The other approach that was mentioned is governance tokens, which is one token, one user. All right, so there's a problem with this one. And the problem is that some users have more than one account. All right. And, because, of course, there is that anonymous nature of blockchains, you don't know whose account is which one. So you can't say, hey, you, Betty, have 5 accounts. Why do you want 5 tokens? And so these are the challenges that the startup committee are going to be addressing in terms of when we are building up this DAO and we're setting those the governance processes and how we are going to be and how we're going to create our laws. And I'm looking forward to hearing from people from diverse backgrounds. We all think we know democracy until it comes to when it's money. When it's money involved, now the democracy becomes, a very serious matter. How are you governing yourselves? But I will say my opinion is that, yes, we should have governance tokens. And yes, it should be one. Everyone should get one. But then I think, and I'm going to propose this, but I think that people should earn governance tokens on top of that. But I think that the more you contribute to their community, the more activities you get involved in, the more time you give to helping the community structure itself and do processes, because there's so much work. Then you should earn. You should be able to earn a governance token and have a say in the spend of community funds. That's my opinion right now. Of course, it might change significantly as we go into building the DAO startup committee, and as we speak to strategic advisors like Warren. So I'm interested in hearing what Warren has to say about governance in DAOs as well.
Yes, Warren, would you like to add something to it, please?
Oh, definitely. I am not an expert at DAOs or that sort of thing, but I've been involved in a few. And first of all, what I like is not having a company tell you what to do. There's not a CEO pushing things. On the other hand, that's its biggest potential flaw, because if you make the governance too much of a democracy, that's basically mob rule. And so no matter whether you give one token per account or one token per human being or make them qualify in some way, I really like what Betty was saying about people who contribute more. It's more than just how much they invest or how much money they have, how many tokens they have. So you can set rules however you want. That's the beauty of a DAO. You can set whatever the contract is that you decide it's going to be. It's also so distributed and so frictionless to set up that if there is a divide where it really becomes a split, it can be, somebody can create another DAO and go do what they want to do, and people can vote by moving their tokens back and forth, or you can make it hard to move tokens back and forth. You can set whatever rules you want. Contrast that with government, where a national government or even a regional government, a city government, whatever, has to set certain rules and then have to stay the same until you elect people and representatives. That's a years-long process. DAOs can be happening very, very fast. And so to me, number one thing is that they are as distributed as possible, so that if I want to do something, I'm not hindered by a central committee deciding what I can and can't do. So as much freedom as possible that way. And then in items of governance, and I would hope that the budget of what gets moved around and stuff is not somebody going after money of where there's a central pool of money, because money will corrupt for sure. And so, if it is the people that are elected as the governing board get to spend all of the money that is transacted by the rest of the people, boy, that would be described as what a communist or socialist type of government is, and for business that just doesn't work, because just like me telling you in Africa what to do, I have a whole lot of expertise and experience that gives me a position where I don't feel bad about giving you advice, but I also am wise enough now to know that I can't dictate what you should do. If I treated everybody here as somebody who I could control and tell what to do, that just wouldn't work that way. Colonization works that way. And many companies work that way. I think the company of the future will be people get together with the freedom to be there and to leave, and that the draw of belonging to any community or a DAO or anything should always be that people don't feel forced to be there. Well, I have this investment and now I'm forced to participate because it will go downhill without me, and I'm just doing this and it's the drudgery of something I have to do. That shouldn't be right. That should be, I look forward every day that I am able to contribute something to the KOY Jumuiya. I'm going to learn how to pronounce that word.
Jumuiya.
Yes. I know it sounds so easy when you say it, and I look at it on the screen, and I can try to add an extra syllable in it or something.
I need some time to figure out as well. As well. But I think I got there finally.
Yes, and it's like it's the freedom. We are all here together on this Twitter Spaces because we choose to be. I don't think anybody was paid to be here or forced to be here in any way. We're here because we want to be, and so that's the way all business and all life should be when you can. It's much more freedom than we know we have, because it's intellectual, personal, internal freedom. I could be calling in from a jail cell, and I would still be free. I may not be free to leave the room, but I'd be free to participate because I'm using my mind and my voice here. And so the more freedom we can give people, the more good things will happen. I believe that, mankind is generally good. Human race is a good race, and I hope we win. I think we're winning. We pretty much dominate the planet now. And I think continue to have progress is let good people do good things. And yes, there has to be rules and laws and contracts to be able to help people remember to do the right thing. There has to be some of that. And of course, we want to take murderers off the street, so there are reasons to have rules, but whenever you can lean towards freedom of letting somebody try something, it'll work fine. I know one of the things that holds back development is that when it must be approved. So if I wanted to create a community and allow you to build on it, I would say, go build what you want and prove it doesn't have to be there. Some things that work in that kind of governance is like the Apple, the store where you download the app store. That there is lots of people offer something for free and let it be downloaded. Lots of people charge for something, and Google takes way too much money, but they deserve some for putting it together. And however that's worked, they still have the governance of being able to go in and say, if somebody is trying to scam or spam or hurt people that download the app, Apple can take it out. When Apple starts trying to tell us, well, we don't think you should play games, and so we're not going to let you download games anymore. That would be wrong. It wouldn't be profitable for them either, but it would be wrong for them to tell us how I use my phone. And so I think wherever you can, open it up and make it as free as possible. So it's a philosophical thing to me. And I agree with Betty that there's no good balance of who should have how many tokens. But if you can keep that down to paying for participation and not paying in votes, not paying in cash or tokens, paying the ability to govern based on somebody that is participating. So you don't have an absentee person that happens to have the most tokens just saying, no, don't make any changes. It's not worth my while to vote on it. So you'd have to have some balance of that. And if it doesn't work, there will be another DAO come up again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your answer. Yeah, I agree. Decentralization and freedom it's very important, especially in these days. That's what I will just finish that one. Okay, I got the last question on my list, and then we can have a look on the questions from the audience. So if anyone got any more question, then this is the time to leave them in comments. So on my list, it's that one. Actually, as our event starts to wind down slowly, what will you be working on over the next few months? KOY Jumuiya DAO will be looking to gain status as a legal entity and set up DAO processes. Do you see yourself joining the startup committee?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, please. Yes,
please.
So.
Yes, I feel like I'm in the community now. I'm here. So, yes, I do not understand the particulars of this as much as I do KOY, because I'm just getting involved here. But I like where you're going, and usually I judge based on people, and so based on Betty alone, it's something I want to be involved with. And what that involvement means, I don't know, but yes, of course. And I would be out to build the community in some way.
Awesome. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate your time and your effort. And we would love to hear more of your knowledge, because it's big. I can hear it's big. I can hear it's definitely big. Thank you for that. Okay, let me check out the comments then. So, Gigi got a question here, and Betty and you, Warren, you can both answer, if you would like to. Can you provide insights into the future development plans and any upcoming features or enhancements that users can look forward to?
So I'll take that one. So what's coming up? We will be having a technical roadmap rollout soon. But in the meantime, I want to talk about our next phase, which is we are inviting early investors to join the herd, so to speak. At KOY, we consider ourselves a herd, and that's going to be coming up very, very soon. We do have a rollout date for that, and so if you have USDT, USDC, get your coins ready, and we will be ready to receive you shortly. And in that regard, there's some secrets that I'm not supposed to speak about it, but I'll hint at it. All right. So you should be able to see some very interesting developments around our wallet very, very soon, in regards to the invitation to early investors. And then further to that, early next year, we expect to be at the exchanges. And so we're working towards that. We're actively working towards that. Yes. So in terms of how does the wallet work and so on, I'm not at liberty to go into detail. But what I'll say is, if you have a chance to go check out our KOY Network website, you should be able to look at the app. There is a link right there, and you should be able to have a look at that. And like I said earlier, you'll learn more when you come to our Telegram channel and have a discussion one-on-one with our CEO, our CTO. The team is right there, ready and waiting to speak to you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that answer. And I've got the last question here, and I think we can finish the show. So the last one is, what is the role of the native token within the KOY network ecosystem, and how does it incentivize user participation or contribute to the network's functionality?
Wow, who asked that? I need to speak to them directly. That's a very, very tough question, but luckily for us, I can see our CEO is right here. Richard, could you help me out in answering this question? Neo, could you please offer?
Of course. Yes, of course. Yes. That's what I'm doing right now. Yes. Invite to speak. Here we go. Okay, Richard, just accept the invitation, please. And we can have the CEO right here, right now. Okay. I just sent the invitation, maybe. Yeah, sometimes X Spaces got a glitch in Matrix, you know. Sometimes you have to wait a bit. I'm just checking if there is any more questions here, maybe, until we get Richard to jump on the microphone. Or maybe there is some, let's see. Richard? I don't know if that's if there is some technical issue there, or because okay, I'll do that again. And let's see what will happen.
Perhaps Richard was listening to one of my answers and fell asleep.
Oh, maybe. No, your knowledge and your expertise here, I don't think that you can fall asleep, honestly.
I'd love to hear from Richard.
Absolutely, me too. It's just the matter of if that's working or not. Because I just sent the invitation again. Richard.
So he's commented and said that his network is not very good.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
So while we're waiting for him, let's hear that question again while I try and break it down in my head. It's a tough one. Yeah.
Oh, you want me to read it again? Okay.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Where is it? It's here. What is the role of the native token within the KOY network ecosystem, and how does it incentivize user participation or contribute to the network's functionality?
Wow.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's multiple questions in one question. Okay. What is the role of the native? Firstly, the native has a specific behavior within the network. It's as part of the infrastructure. And of course, it's been set, the tokenomics have been set at 1 billion tokens in total. And of course, that's been segmented. You have certain amounts set aside for founders, you have certain amounts set aside for our fair sale, and certain amounts that will be set aside to go to the exchanges at a later date. And of course, these tokens are just like every other blockchain. They are minted. They're minted and also part of the mining process, right? And so a significant part sits with the chain in as part of the tokenomics. Further to that, okay, so the second part, how does it function? It provides liquidity. So in all blockchains, there are transaction fees. If you go to, I'll give a very good example of Ethereum. If you go to Ethereum, you'll pay gas fees for you to send ETH from one wallet to another. And those gas fees are hinged on what is called front running. In other words, it's hinged on an approach to paying of those fees to node validators, and the node validators will always go for the highest pay. It's just simple, simple economics, supply and demand. So the highest pay will get the node validator responding earliest. And so that's how their transactions are verified in Ethereum. And so you'll find that it can become costly. It can cost you $100 to send $30 on Ethereum. I'm not saying that this is like normal, but you can find that it can be that expensive because of the volume of transactions that are going through, and the demand on the network infrastructure and the node validators' attention. Okay, but with KOY network, there is no front running. All transactions are the same cost. Okay, and they are all validated at the same speed. That's 40,000 transactions per second, right? So, in order for those transactions to work, there has to be a small token amount that is paid towards those transactions, and that's where the KOY native comes in. So how do people get involved, and what's the incentive? The more tokens you have, especially for the businesses that come on board, the more tokens you have, the lower your gas fees, because you've staked those tokens. And of course, the gas fee already is low, so it can actually reach a point, and I'm not looking forward to this in the future. It will reach a point where it goes from negligible, or rather low right now, to negligible, to zero transaction costs for businesses. Another incentive, of course, for investors is the staking rewards. And we have a set APR earning per year that will be announced. And and of course, it's like you're earning interest by simply staking your tokens. The early investors, again, are obliged to have their tokens staked for them for a minimum period. Same with the investors, the founders, and the founders. There's a certain period of time that those tokens are staked. And this is the intention there is to stabilize the economy, to avoid inflation with too much flooding in the ecosystem, and so on and so forth. So, have I answered? What was the last part of the question? I think I've answered it sufficiently well without getting technical.
I finally figure out Richard to. Yeah, it was like, I don't know, some glitch. X spaces sometimes are not working as they're supposed to, but I think that Richard is here with us. Hello, Richard, how are you?
Hi, I was just passing by, but I'll answer quickly on that question and then make my way.
Yes,
the other short answer to it is that the native token is going to be an intermediary exchange. Because one of the markets we're chasing is the cross-border payments within Africa, and currently because the trading figures are quite low, it's quite difficult to have pairings for all the countries. There are 54 countries, there are 54 currencies, and the easiest way we've found, the easiest pathway, is to provide the token as an intermediary. So all the currencies will be paired to coin. So when there's an exchange or transfer from one nation to another, there'll be like a double trade into coin and out of coin on at the destination. In terms of how users can participate, over time there'll come a point where that liquidity could actually be provided by holders of coin as opposed to the blockchain organization, and it's something that we'd want to get to fairly quickly. Just as an example, if you're sending money, for example, from East Africa to West Africa, it's cheaper and quicker to send it to Europe or via Europe than back into West Africa than sending it directly, and that's why we feel by creating direct pathways between these countries, we'll be able to support trade and hopefully increase the traffic just by being available. But that's a short answer to that.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer, and thank you very much for joining us. So I think that we don't have any more questions, and we are here almost 1 hour and a half. So I think that we can we can actually wrap up the show. Is that the word? I think so. Yeah, just finish it, basically. What do you think about it, Betty?
I think that's okay. Let's just do one more round and ask people in the audience if they have any questions. In the meantime, I have a question for Warren. So Warren, I mean, it's I don't know if we've comprehensively covered this, but I have never read your book. I'll be honest, I haven't, and that's sad. But I will make an effort to read it. My question is, when you look at online businesses such as the KOY Network, how do you assess its viability? What makes you feel that this hits your criteria for potential businesses that you would want to be a part of?
Number one criteria for me is people. I want to look at the mission of what the business is doing and how it works, but I won't even consider it if I don't have some faith in the people. And so once you know that it's people you can work with and can stand to work with or want to work with, There are many businesses that do quite well, but I will not get involved, But we'll just use the extreme example, human trafficking. Doesn't matter how good the numbers are, I'm not going to get involved. And so then you look at where the mission is, and it's going to move things forward. I find I am now a young 68 years old and expect to live to be 150. So I have limited time in the world, just another 83 years, and I want to use that time to make as much impact as possible, help as many people as possible, and to then have the joy of relationships with as many of those people as possible. So when I look at something, I very much look for those kind of parameters. Other people have other ideas. They may want to have the return in a very quick time. They may want to leave something as a legacy for future generations. There's a lot of what you want to do with your money. But when we look at the money as can we accumulate it and make money, that's not, that's, if you want to make money, you rob banks. You throw away your morals if money is all you care about. And it's best not to worry about the money, but to figure out where you can have the most impact. For me, impact is going to be done by business. So I look for projects where people are doing things that are going to affect a lot of people and allow for exponential growth. Today we have technologies like AI, blockchain, nanotechnology, which we hardly hear anything about compared to the impact it's going to have of being able to do atomically precise manufacturing. And of course, we've all heard of AI and blockchain. We're on a spaces about blockchain. That these things are going to just like combine together, and something you may have heard of Moore's law and the computing power being 1.5 times as much per year or 2 times every 18 months. I'm not really sure what that is, but computer power keeps doubling. The chip size keeps getting smaller. And silicon has run out of the ability to do that as of about next year, but there are still more things that are doing that even better, quantum computing and such. When you look at how that can change things, our computing power, our the artificial intelligence, just look at the things that have come out in the last year. And then the technologies allowed by us reducing friction with things like KOY networks, you just say like things are going to happen a lot faster. So to stay in a business where what you hope to do is keep things the way they have been is just boring to me. When doubling every year is slow, I want to be doing 10x every year and something. And so I'm moving my investments and my time into projects like that. That's why I'm involved with KOY Network. I see it growing exponentially, at least for some period of time. I don't know whether or not you fill up and everybody that needs it has it at some point, but that's way in the future, and I don't need to worry about that. I have a business right now, free ebooks, free-ebooks.net, where people can download books, and it's a great joy for me to know that some child learning to read English somewhere in Africa can download a book and read it. I don't even know about it. It just happens, and it makes me have much joy to do that. And we are currently looking at the numbers there and saying we impact 9 million people. Now, how could we make that, not 9 billion, but definitely 90 million? And we are putting a plan in place to do that. And it's not just in the gross numbers; it's how much impact can we have in what we do. And so, if somebody can learn from having a book, what can we do about them having an audio book? What can we do to go to the next thing? So just in every little thing I look at, I'm always looking, where is the exponential path?
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. I just check out. There is no more questions from the audience, so I think that we can wrap up the show. Yeah, Betty, am I right here?
Yes, I think so too. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for your very, very good questions, tough ones as well. And thanks, Warren, for coming and being part of this with us, and Richard as well. I'm very happy to have had this conversation with you, and looking forward to engaging you and working with you in the KOY network.
I am delighted to be part of this community and support you any way that I can.
We really appreciate that. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Richard, for joining us. Thank you very much for the audience. Thank you very much, guys, for being here with us as well on this basically first KOY Jumuiya DAO AMA on X Spaces. I was your one of the hosts, Neo, like from the Matrix. Neo talks Web3. And I think that's it. Thank you very much, guys, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.